My man, Reginald
Hey,
Adams. Reginald,
hey,
good to
hey,
see you,
hey,
brother.
hey.
Good to see you. Welcome back, man. Welcome back. I appreciate you coming back to hang out with me.
Yeah, anytime.
So, I told you I wanted to chat with you about some current events because there's a bunch
Mm,
of them right now. There's a bunch of there's a bunch going on right now, and it's funny because I don't even know what you call current anymore, right? Because
yeah.
every day is something new, right? So a few weeks ago, what was current was some files, right?
Mm.
Some
Now you
files,
don't hear nothing about them.
right? I don't that was current a couple weeks ago, right? Now we're talking about something different, and
Mm-hmm.
but I think that's right up our alley, right? So I want to get your opinion on the troops getting deployed.
Man.
So think back, man. Think back to the good old days, and just tell me
Mm-hmm.
what you think are going through these service members' minds right now as they prepare to deploy.
Well, fortunately for them, vast majority of them, they probably have deployed before. We are still, we still fresh from, although it's been some years, but there are still going to be some remnants of people who have deployed before, Iraq, Afghanistan, or whatever. They But for somebody who haven't, little fear, little trepidation, and that would also depend on your faith level, whoever they pray to, you know.
Mhm.
But definitely anxiety, fear, worry, and because there's no definite this particular incidents, there's no definite way forward.
Mhm.
It's just to go over there. You don't know what you. That's basically what's happening. They
Right.
loaded up them folks, the Marines, put
Mhm.
them on the boat, and they put 82nd in airplanes. And they're like, what's our objective?
Mhm.
They're not going to tell everybody on TV too, but still, um, yeah, that's definitely what's going through their minds and the families, especially with new families,
Mm.
with brand new babies or pregnant wives or whatever. They definitely got a whole bunch of mixed emotion going on in their brain. But we
Okay.
had I think one thing will be I don't know how close knit they are in their units now because it's all kind of crazy stuff happening with these in these units that never would have happened. I'm a first sergeant. Just had brag when the guy killed the girl, put the girl in the case and put her in the car and drove her off. I was like, yeah, that would have never happened in my era. I'm considered a dinosaur, but
Mm.
as a first sergeant, yeah, that would have never happened. So I'm seeing a lot of lax going on and complacency. And we had a sign as we left the fob in Iraq. It said "complacency kills," and so it reminded us every time you went outside the wire. And yeah, I'm thinking people getting complacent, but they about to get a rude awakening here,
Mm.
shortly. Because we
So
don't know now. We really don't know the capability of who we're supposed to be going against.
mhm.
But those people
Well,
have been fighting since biblical times.
let me ask you this though, like, as a first sergeant, what do you say in a situation like this when a young soldier asks you straight up, looks you right in the face and say, "Why are we here?"
We would normally have some better intel than what they're putting out on well, all the intel than they're putting out on TV. So I have to tell them we're here to do our jobs. Plain and simple. The same job we did in garrison, same job we're gonna be doing wherever we going. Because I was combat support, so it did probably a different thing for the fighters, but for us, it's like, hey, we're gonna be doing the same. We're gonna be offering the same top notch support to the
Mhm.
fighters, beans, bullets, and
Mhm.
tires. And I would try to refocus them on that aspect of it and reassure them that hey, this is what we signed up for. This was the possibility that we signed up for. It wasn't all just to go to college. It's a possibility that you're gonna have to go somewhere. And
Right.
and up until this point, now this wasn't no surprise to the deployed units. You get all this stuff way out. So they've been training and practicing and all of that. Say, hey, what they call the patch chart.
Mhm.
They're on the wall, and they say, hey, these are the people that's going. Everybody get those warning orders. It trickles down. So yeah, they knew they were about to do something. So
Mhm.
they are going to be prepared for whatever. The media kind of makes it seem like they just told them yesterday, hey, pack your bags. Oh, you know, yeah, but they're fully prepared and have rehearsed and practiced and for whatever they're doing. But yeah, that's what I would tell my guys. We're gonna do the same top notch job we in garrison. We go when we deploy.
Well, have you noticed that here in the United States, when we deploy,
Mhm,
you see the images, right, of families hugging these, these service members and looking forward to things when they get back, praying that they come home safely and that sort of
mhm.
thing. But on the other side, they don't think about coming back, right? You're going against somebody who is like,
Yes.
there's no coming back. This is it. So it's a different mindset.
Yes.
And the
It's
question is,
the
how do you prepare for that, right? How do you prepare for someone who we're getting ready to go against someone who they don't care nothing about getting back?
yeah, that's the rub right there because I've been talking about this to other people, and the closest we've ever come to this was Vietnam.
Mm,
And that's why we honestly pulled out because it's extremely difficult to defeat a adversary who is willing to die for what they believe in. It's excuse me, it's extremely difficult because now we're all about winning hearts and minds and
mhm,
having the people turn on or be on our side. But when everybody, that's difficult. Difficult. I don't even know how you could prepare for this because nobody's seen this since Vietnam. We've always been the dominant,
mm,
and always we laughed at the Iraqis and all of them, and they're throwing rocks at tanks. Like we got upper armored vehicles, and like they throwing rocks.
mhm,
I said that's somebody who's convicted.
right,
They believe in what they believe in, and
mhm,
it's difficult, and just like they pulled out of Russia pulled out of Afghanistan for the same reason. Plus,
mhm,
if they had some help, but they
right,
was like, "Hey, this is dirt over here. We can't grow nothing. So
right,
what we fighting for?" And they pulled out. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. We probably won't. Hang on, we shouldn't do the boots on the ground thing for no long period of time. First of all, where they trying to go to is an island. You don't get so many people on there.
mhm,
So I don't know. It's more of a show of force to me
mhm,
with this administration. A lot of bluffing. Unfortunately, the leaders who would have opposed all of this, he got rid of them.
right.
Every head of every organization, every branch of the military, they've all been replaced, and there's no way our generals would have because his first term, I don't know if you remember, the chairman of the Joint Chief, he had all the other chiefs on a platform, and they did a press conference, and he said, "We will not follow unlawful orders,
Mhm,
and we have been sworn to defend the Constitution against all enemies, both foreign and domestic." He said, "I promise you, we're not," and that's why he got rid of all of them
mhm.
because they made that statement. Now you got people up there, they saying he say go, and they just send people. Yeah, so it's
Well,
it's gonna be different.
even at the lower ranks, man, when I think back in the day, 598, Fort Benning, not gonna mention any names, but there was some who I'll just say would have been with it and would have supported this all the way.
Yeah, it's always going to be those.
Right.
They were in our time they were lower ranking. Now all of them are at the top. So when
Right.
you weed through the people who would oppose you and you bring your people up top, that's where we are. That's
Well,
where we are.
I think, I think back to like when I first got to Benning and I met you guys.
Hmm.
When I got there, I'll never forget, man, I still had duffel bag and I'm walking from the parking lot to the CQ desk and this cat had a flag hanging out his window.
Hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now here's the thing. He definitely would have been one who would have been in support of, right? I didn't know him. I didn't know anybody else or what have you. Saw the flag. And here's what's crazy, right? I'm from up north, right?
Hmm.
From DC. That flag didn't really impact me,
Right. Yeah.
right? I was I looked at it. First thing I thought was Dukes of Hazzard. I used to watch that, I used to watch that. I like that
Yeah.
show. When Luke Duke and them, all of that.
Yeah.
But then when we got over in the desert, because you remember, well, soon after I got there, we was out. And we got over to the desert, things went left and they dealt with
Calm
them.
down. Yeah. 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 They
They
calm
dealt with
down,
them.
or yeah, they got serious.
Yeah, they dealt with them. And I'm talking lower enlisted, right?
Oh yeah. The
Our
E4
peers at
Mafia.
the time, right? Our peers at the time dealt with dude.
Mhm.
what was funny was I was questioning why. Why y'all tripping about him? Like, why y'all, and it took for Brother Spike.
Mm,
Remember, Spike pulled me to the
yeah.
side and he was like, here's what the problem is. Now, he explained it to me. It made sense.
Mm,
Spike from Jersey. So
right.
I'm thinking, what, you telling me secondhand stuff because you didn't experience certain things. But he
Mhm.
broke it down and helped me to understand. So my point is this, like you said, they're all have been promoted now, but you still have those who are at the lower ranks that are probably not with this right now or like those that you mentioned earlier. I was trying to go to school,
Mhm.
college, whatever. And, again, my concern for them is there doesn't seem to be an umbrella of protection
Mm.
for individuals who may not or may oppose.
But I mean, they got options now. They got options. I do think from our time to more time. Now, I've been out 9 years now, so from our time to now,
Mhm.
when I became a senior enlisted, the lower enlisted were getting closer. Only one of the reasons was because you stayed lower enlisted longer. People weren't popping up the ranks and stuff like that, and switching MOSs and stuff like that. And now, even now, these kids coming in, they are you would stick out if
Mm.
you was a rebel flag waver
Really?
now. Yeah, these kids now, a white and a black kid now, it's just my friend. And I've seen that transition, especially when they switched to the don't ask, don't tell. I had a kid in my shop. I'm a battalion motor sergeant,
Mhm.
and there's a Hispanic kid and clean cut. I mean, it's good looking cat. Funny, we laughing, joking. And towards the end, right before I got promoted, the other soldiers came to me and was like, "Oh, you didn't know he was
Mm.
gay?" And I
Mm.
was like, "No, I had not at all." I mean, and they was like, "Oh yeah, those soldiers, they love that boy, and they would hurt somebody if you said something disparaging about him."
Okay.
And when I saw that change, I was like, "Well, okay, they different." They wasn't isolating or none of that. They were embracing, and it became. And I fostered a family environment. Say, hey, this our family. Don't let nobody come in and mess with our family. But yeah, they've changed, and all of those flag wavers like them, yeah, they stick out. And what has happened was they have all been corralled into specific MOSs.
Mm. Okay.
So and that's what I started looking and said, "Oh, okay." It was infantry
Okay.
because it wasn't a lot of people of color in infantry
Mhm.
when we first came in. Then that changed. Then it was rangers. See a black ranger was like seeing Santa Claus. Like, oh, he a bad dude. If you saw a black ranger back in the day, that boy was bad because he went through it.
Right.
And that all changed, and it became field artillery. That's because it's a very tight knit. They only got only one or two bases that they go to, so they see each other their entire career. And those type, and that's what it has happened because integration, more of people of color was coming in, at least for the army's sake. um, we kind of pushed all of them away or to the side or whatever, and they were
Uh-huh.
really to themselves. You only saw how somebody truly were as company function. For family day, we had kids walking up,
Mhm.
golf with the black makeup and the black
Right,
face,
right.
knee high boots with all them buckles. You would
Right.
have never known.
The buckles and
Yeah,
spikes.
all the buckles. Oh man, all the buckles and 4-inch heat. I
Right,
was
right.
like, wow, okay. And all the cowboys and you would have never known because they don't. Every time I went to a duty station, the demographics changed. It
Mm.
either changed. It was all one way when I got there, and it slowly changed, or the other way. And kind of like public school. Why there's not a lot of public school shootings because they took all the monsters and put them in the suburbs. And see, public schools, we kept them at bay. So you would have never known this kid was thinking this kind of way. But when they went out to the suburbs, they corralled all them monsters together, and
Mm.
they ain't have nobody to calm them down, and you get what you get. But they was like, oh, I don't want metal detectors at my school and blah blah. Now them kids say, hey, I want to go to the black school. Yeah, they're safer.
You know what, man? You mentioned Black Rangers, and it reminded me of when I went through PLDC. There was a in my squad, there was a Black Ranger. Matter of fact, my squad was wild, man. I had a There was a black ranger, a bunch of white guys, rangers, and then there was a, Hispanic dude, infantry, US Army pistol team, as a matter of fact.
Mm,
So I went through with some dudes that, I mean, they had me, I had to keep up, right? And so, but what you mentioned about the integration, this is, what, 30 years ago, right?
mhm.
Here's the thing. He's in PLDC and he was part of the Rangers, that Ranger battalion that was out there.
Yeah,
I don't know if he
25th.
had I don't know if he had completed the entire, course, all the different phases they have to go through. I don't know how that went. Here's what I noticed though. That brother, he was well integrated with them and he had to code switch. He was my roommate. So, two to a room, we would talk. But as soon as his ranger buddies came around, I was like, he got real different.
And that has been our existence since they brought us
Mhm.
here.
Right.
And these kids today, with this gentle parenting, they don't have to do that. Yeah, they don't have to do that. You have to go to specific places, like good places, to find kids that talk like us. Now, these kids, you would think they was born in the suburbs.
Well, here's the thing, man.
They don't have that struggle.
He got put out. He flunked out, right? He didn't make it. And I feel like just the interactions, I feel like his ranger buddies did it to him.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, I felt like because it was like this, they were comfortable with slinging the N-word around,
Mm.
but would do it and say things like, "I grew up in the hood." Like, "I grew up," and
Like that's supposed to make a difference.
he would accept it. And me and him talking, I'm like, "Yo, my man," like, "What's that about?" "No, no, they're cool," whatever. But it seemed like he's bouncing around with them, PLDC, we trying to all make it, but
Mhm.
he always seemed to be the one, they were treating him like a pet
Mhm.
and then trying to hold him to certain standards, and I think they were the ones who felt like
Mm.
he wasn't
Yes.
up to snuff.
Traditionally, Rangers flunk out of PLDC because of land nav, because they already come in with their running pace count. They already have all this little cheat stuff, and PLDC taught the basics. And traditionally, that's what get them out of there. That's why they always say, "Hey, I know y'all got y'all stuff, but do it our way, and you'll pass. When you get out of here, you can go back to doing it how you did it."
Bruh.
Yeah,
Well,
I
and it's
probably knew that
funny.
guy too.
Well, he,
It was only a handful when we were there. So,
well,
and we knew most of them.
that's the thing. He didn't flunk land nav. That was a crazy thing. He flunked some classroom stuff, and
Ooh,
because when it came to land nav, him and my buddy is Perez, the Hispanic dude. They taught me the little running pace count thing while we was out there. I couldn't do it,
right.
because when they hit the go, them jokers would take off and got them beads, the ranger beads. I'm with my little comfort, like
Yeah.
hold up, you know, and them cats would take off, hit all their points, and then come back for me. Like
Mm.
I'm like, y'all, man, y'all are crazy. But the point is, he had to that integration thing.
Mhm.
It was like he was the one who was being, there's always give and take. It felt like he was giving, nothing but
Yeah.
giving.
Back then, they were very. It was not a lot of people, not a lot of them. So they would get like really, they'll get messed up over there behind the fence because you got to punch in the code to get over there where they was at. So
Mm,
I definitely feel them, but it
yeah.
changed over time. Now they got women,
Right, right,
Ranger.
right,
But
right.
yeah, it definitely changed. But back then, yeah, code switching,
Yeah, he
most
was,
definitely.
and it was crazy because, well, Perez, he was infantry, he
Hmm.
wasn't with them. So Perez was like, "I'll knock all y'all out," like
Yeah,
he was
they had a rivalry, infantry and Rangers. Yeah.
yeah, he was a different dude. But and it PLDC gave me an added level of respect for them because you got to see how they got down, especially when we were out there doing stuff at night. Perez is like, "All right, remember the cat eyes on the back of the
Hmm.
watch my cat eyes, stay with me." And I'm right behind him. All I see is pitch black. I see nothing cat eyes. And then my man cat eyes dipped and disappeared. I'm like, yo, and he had went down a ditch.
Mm.
I didn't know that. I couldn't see
Right.
the ditch. I'm like, man, I can't see the but he he was moving at night. So I guess my point is, that stuff that the skill level that they had, it transcended race. You had black, white, Hispanic, and they were getting it. And me, with my little sophisticated self, with my little compass trying to just keep up with these jokers, reading the map. I think this is my point.
Mhm.
should I click it? Because if I hit the wrong one, I'm out, like and these jokers, man, so but when you mention, the whole integration thing and things changing, I've got no problem with that, to the extent that one side of things is not being subservient
Mm.
to the other, right? And what I witnessed with this brother, it broke my heart, man. I mean, because 30 years ago, look how young we were, right? What can you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, oh man,
And
that's messed up.
definitely, I did a little stint with the special forces, and they are way better at the integration thing. They are called quiet professionals, and they are.
Mm.
And we have been taught, if you ever see like anything, that's a bad boy because he's not only had to do what they had to do, we always anything we do, we got to be 10 times better than others. So
Woo.
them bad boys, but yeah, those special forces guys, and Delta guy, special forces guy. You see a black one? Well, you
Mhm.
ain't gonna know he Delta unless you in the community. But yeah, them cat guys, whoo, it's something else. Yeah, but
I can
it was.
imagine.
I felt that what you felt too back then. I think that's probably why we were so tight knit. I know you came right before we bounced, but for those that had got there, we had a little camaraderie, and Saudi just brought us all together.
Yeah.
Definitely, because we got a chat group that we just had a reunion, down
Last year,
at Benin.
last
Yeah,
year. Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
we just had that reunion, man. They're talking about doing it again in 27, so be on the lookout.
I gotta be
But
on. I gotta come to that one, man.
yeah, man, it was great, man. It was great seeing those guys, man. Bringing back them stories and people mind, man. I can't remember what I did 2 minutes ago. I gotta remember stuff way back then.
Look, man, and what's funny is, I vividly remember when I first got there.
Hmm.
There was an advance party that had already left, I guess, Litton and them on the boat, right? Then there was another advance party that was flying.
SSA, yeah, SSA flew over first.
Well, so all I know is I got there. I still got, I don't even have TA-50 yet, right?
Wow.
I don't have nothing. And it was about a week after I got there. Next thing I know, I'm on a plane. I never forget them with the guys from a few of the guys from Tech Supply.
I'm at Tech Supply, yeah,
So, yeah,
those who
Tech
went
Supply.
first, yeah.
And, I'm on the plane sitting next to these dudes, and I don't even know who it was. Somebody had to come get me. They were like, "Why are you on he" like, I don't know. I just went where y'all told me to go. I'll never forget, man, I'm sitting next to Willie Brown and, and all them, and
Yeah.
I'm sitting and they snatched me off the plane because I had nothing. And
My goodness, I
yeah,
didn't know that.
I was about I'm looking at all these cats carrying rucksacks and duffel bags, and I don't have none of this stuff. Gas mask, you need that? I don't have that.
Wow.
Like, I ain't have nothing. And so, I got off the plane, they took off, and I think we went, what, like 30 days later or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
But while they were there for that week, them boys was wild. I forget the name of that club that was on post, not the NCO, but the other one. There was another
A
one.
hidden door.
Hidden Door, okay. And this brother, you remember Courtney? Tall guy, light-skinned dude. Anyway, he wasn't in our platoon. He was
Mm,
one of the other platoon. I just remember Courtney, like, I just knew his last name, didn't know his first name, and some stuff jumped off in there. Vividly remember this cat Courtney wilding. I mean, he was swinging because it was, I started seeing faces. That's how I began to learn y'all's faces. I'm like, "Oh,
mhm.
he in my unit. He in my unit, yeah." And this cat Courtney, I don't know if I should have said his name, but he was in there just throwing hands. And, once I started to see, okay, that's us,
Mhm.
well, you gotta throw hands too, like it was and
I got keys.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, I just came from Korea, and that was
Right.
that was the rule. "Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
we
you're
down?
right.
We in the same unit? Okay." Whatever. And
That probably put you in the group right there
and
when they saw that.
I was like, "Oh, so we okay." And I think I might have caught one that night, like, okay, but back then though, it was you throw hands, you get all a little dusty, and then you go home, right? Everything was cool. But I just remember him because he was throwing hands to the extent that I think he got locked up. He did a little too much. It's like, come on, bro. You did a little too much.
And
But
and back then, especially back then, a lot of that was the anxiety from about to deploy.
yeah,
that was coming out in every swing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and it was crazy because what I wasn't used to was we on post, there's this club. I'm not a club dude.
right.
I don't drink, so I'm real sober. We're looking at all this, and there were civilians in there,
Mhm.
and so it was civilian cats that they were,
Mm,
you know, and so when you say vividly remember, I had no choice but to remember because I just got there,
right.
and somebody took me to this spot,
Yeah.
and
Which
I'm
is
in there.
gone now. It's totally they tore it down. It's
Yeah,
gone.
yeah,
It's
hidden
grass. You can't even tell the building was there.
hidden door. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Hidden door. Okay, that sounds familiar. I don't know, man, but
Yeah, that was it.
so yeah, it wasn't the NCO club. It was definitely
Yeah. The hidden door. It's the enlisted club. It was the hidden door.
okay.
That
Okay.
was
Well,
it.
it
That was the
it was,
spot.
and I would hear y'all talking about it all the time. Like y'all would run it.
Bro, we
Like,
was there every weekend. We was club whores. We were there every weekend. Praise. And then because my she wasn't at the time, but my wife's best friend worked there.
mm,
Her name was Dee Dee, big girl,
okay,
Dee Dee, caught
okay,
Liesel.
o
And so that she ended up becoming when we got married, she ended up becoming my kid's godmother,
okay,
and coincidentally, I left Benning, went to Bragg, and then went to Hawaii. And
mm,
then from Hawaii, I got sent back to 598.
mm.
Yes, it was crazy. They had tore all the buildings down, gutted them, new buildings, and all the leadership wanted to know was how was it when you were here before? It was weird. They was looking at me like I must have got a superstar or something. Is anything? Was it loud? And then I was E5, and they had NCO barracks. I had never heard of that. So I
Mm.
said, "No, man, I ain't living in no barracks." I'm thinking barracks how we did it. And the barracks are so nice, like a little apartment. I said, "Yeah, I think I can do this. Yeah, yeah, yeah."
Yeah.
So I stayed in the barracks. We had a on the hangar inspection by the colonel. He came through. He wanted to know nothing about that. He wanted to know how was finding out back in the day. I
Wow.
heard so many stories. And that's how
Yeah.
they was such nostalgia. But it was crazy going back and seeing all the new and then old uh stuff like that. But like the motor pool, they stopped using that, and everybody was at third shop. Third shop was over there by the airborne school. So all the sections was over there, and that's the biggest difference. The motor pool was everything was over in third shop area. Tech supply was still where they were still over there, but all the other shops was in one area. So, but the
That
barracks was all new, everything.
I think 598 had a reputation that
Yeah.
spanned continents because when people found out where I would just come from, I get to Germany
Mm.
and cats was like, like, oh, you was with them, you know, you was with them.
Almost wow. Before we got there, oh yeah, they was off the head. And then us, we just went right on in.
Yeah.
Especially after we got back from Saudi.
Oh man,
Well, you couldn't tell us nothing.
that wasn't even cool what y'all did to Columbus, man. That wasn't even that wasn't even cool.
Nope.
Nah, you
I
know what was wild is too. Boys was wild but respectful. I'll
Yeah,
say it
hey.
that way, right? There were a few who, because once you become too stupid, then you
Yes.
don't even want to be dealing with no cats like that. I could say that I only ran into one or two that was like, I'm not fooling with him. But
Mhm.
but I don't know if you remember when we got to Saudi and we would once we found our way around town and found the malls
Mhm.
and the chicken places and the
Yeah.
and they would go for prayer time. I'll just say this. Well, gave us what, maybe a month or two. Them jokers started buying padlocks. They would just take off and leave everything unlocked for
Yeah.
prayer time. And then I heard Master Lock made a killing over there because we
I couldn't believe they was leaving them $3 and $6,000 Persian rugs outside. I
just
was like,
out,
they
just
just leave them
out,
outside.
just
They
leave.
said, "Yeah, man, you ain't gonna mess with them." I said, "But y'all don't know who we."
Man, and I'm not saying that we alone did
Right,
that,
right.
but I'm just saying,
Oh yeah, it was some stuff that went down. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. For y'all drinkers.
Well, I wasn't a drink. I don't drink either, so I never have.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
was the designated driver
Yeah.
because when I found out, that was hard for me too, being a non-drinker, non-smoker, because they always thought I was CID. And when I found out that at the club, the designated driver get free soda, oh, I was in there.
Wow.
All you had to do is take care of the bartender,
Mhm.
and I was drinking Sprite all night.
Well, I,
And they had that Wilhelmina over there.
that's what I was gonna say. I wasn't no drinker, um, but I
Yeah,
was, uh, I was somewhat of an entrepreneur, let me just say it that way.
most definitely.
I
I got you.
didn't partake,
Right.
but I don't know who it was, man, who hit me to the whole because since it looked like water, you might as well
Mhm.
water it down, and
And it wasn't no watering that down, dude. That was some
right. So you could water it down and
you can stretch it.
still make your little, because remember they gave us the little camouflage bags to
Yep.
well, anyway. So, yeah, I
Do
guess we could
remember.
talk about that stuff now, man, because, they
We had to pass the time some kind of way, bro. We had to pass the time.
yeah,
And having them females there didn't hurt either. Didn't
stop it.
hurt.
Well,
Didn't hurt at all.
here's the thing, it wasn't y'all. Who was it that, when our truck got tore up coming through the fence, who fixed y'all do you know who had to fix the truck and fix the fence up and what, platoon would have done that?
Third shot.
Mm,
Yeah, that'd have been third shot. Them guys over there with Jomo Daniels,
okay.
light skinned guy with the crazy eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
His shot. Yeah,
Okay.
his shot would have had to do all that. And SNR probably with because they weld. If they had to do any welding, SNR was the guys doing all that stuff.
Well, we had some guys get extra duty because of that
Mhm.
incident, and, it was funny was, they was in extra duty. I'm talking about Top had them out there sweeping sand. They was sweeping sand,
Yeah, that
and
that was frustrating me, sweeping that concrete pad off
well, what
with
was
more
funny
dust to
was
blow on.
they're on extra duty, like, they in uniform for hours after, they ought to have been.
Mhm.
I'm in there eating, and I'm sitting next to like, because guys I hang with, they all on extra duty. So I ain't get so I'm sitting with other folk, and I'm listening to them speculate as to who was in the truck, who
Mm.
was in it, who came through that fence, who was driving, and all that. I'm sitting right next to them, like, because didn't nobody think I was, you know, Rose, he don't do nothing.
Cause
That
you
what,
cause you're not on extra duty. Yeah, there
yeah,
you go.
yeah. So I'm sitting there looking at him, man, and I'm thinking this is quite cool, like to just be able to, it's like camouflage. I can
Fly
walk
on the
around.
wall.
Yeah, yeah. But, yeah, for we tore the truck up and, and had to climb out the windows because the doors
Mm,
wouldn't open.
my god.
The doors wouldn't open.
What happened?
I guess the statute of limitations is done. So what happened was me,
You don't have to get
uh
no names. I just talking about the actual
yeah, yeah. So
crash part.
me and 2 other guys
Mhm,
were in the truck, right? Cut V. And I don't know if you remember how the compound was situated, but so you had the front gate.
mhm,
But then down the fence line, I don't know if that's where the hole ended up being, by that other gate guard. There's a guard post, elevated, right?
mhm. On the tower, yeah.
Yeah, on the tower. So coming to the to the compound, there was a road that went
Right,
straight to that elevated guard post, and then you had to turn left to
right.
get to the
To
front
the
gate.
to the main gate, yeah.
There you go. So we all would make a joke of it every time we would be coming back to the compound.
Mm.
We're on this dirt, it's dirt
Mm.
road, and
In a
whoever was
neighborhood,
driving,
that was crazy.
yeah, and it right. So whoever would be driving, it was like the whole point was we would try to hit that corner and dip it. We would all holler out, "Dip it," right?
Right,
Dip it. So you would turn the wheel and try to, I guess, drift around the
right. I was
side.
say now they call it drifting.
Yeah.
Y'all, yeah. We used to
So
call
we
it hook sliding. Yeah.
right. There you go. So that's what happened. We
Dukes of
were
Hazzard. Yeah,
so, look, here, I never had a license, right? But I would, you
yeah.
know. Anyway,
I learned how to drive a stick shift over there. Yeah.
there you go. Right. So I think earlier in the day we had driven 2 other times.
Mhm,
One of those earlier times I was driving, dip it, hit my little slide, go on in. Well, I had to stop, get out, let somebody else get up front because I couldn't drive. I
mm,
wasn't supposed to be driving. Second time, somebody else was driving, did it. Okay. Third time, I guess my man wanted to get some extra because when he came around, he didn't slide.
mm,
So he gunned it trying to get some extra. And then so the wheel went one way and then he tried to overcompensate and come back over because we was about to go into the ditch to
mhm.
the left. So we had to come back right And that's when we went straight through the fence, right below the guard post, right? So we're right below the guard post, and here's what's funny. We came through the fence, and there were 2 trailers sitting there,
Mhm.
and we ended up in between the 2 trailers.
That's why y'all couldn't open the
That's
door.
why we couldn't we had to climb out. We had to climb out because we was between the 2 trailers, which was a godsend because had we hit one, we
That'd have been
probably
rough.
we wouldn't have been here, right? Because that
I
thing
know
would have
y'all ain't have no seatbelts on, but
not
yeah.
well, but that thing would have took off the top of the truck and you know what
Right.
I mean? So
Yeah.
we went between the 2 and we were stuck, and one of us had a bag of tapes. You know, we used to go
Mm.
get tapes from,
Yeah.
music and whatever, have all that Arabic writing on it, but a picture of Rakim or something,
Right.
So anyway, so we all got out, dipped, and the guards never even knew it. That's just how bad they were. Like they they was up there
They
asleep
probably
or
was
something.
asleep. Yeah, they
Yeah,
probably was
right.
asleep.
So we had to make a run back to the truck to get. My man was like, "Yo, I left my tapes." So we like, "All right, get on back." Got the stuff, made it back to the room, and then everybody changed up, like put on, pajamas, and like we was there all the time. And then it was a big to do, and they knew it was our truck. And then they saw who signed the dispatch last. But here's the other part: the dispatch was signed like the day before. Like nobody had nobody had signed it, none that day. So that changed a whole bunch of stuff in terms of
Yeah.
rules, because of us.
Oh, that was why that happened. Oh,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we drive because I ain't gonna lie, man. With us, it was like, who got the keys? All right, let me get them.
But after that, we started to had to have an NCO in the truck. That was
So it was
messed
like
up.
we would just throw the keys around, like who got the keys? And
Yep.
I
Right after
could
that, we had
never.
to have an NCO.
Well, because I didn't have a license, I had to wait until we got down the road before I could
Mhm.
get behind the wheel. And
That's probably the only reason why you didn't go on extra duty too, because you didn't have no license.
I wasn't on extra duty. Matter of fact, it was one time they was out there sweeping. I grabbed the broom. Chop was like, put it down.
Mm.
All right, my bad. So yeah, man, that was wild times, man. That was wild times. But that is the that's what kind of wild these cats were. And
Oh man, that's tip of the iceberg.
yeah, 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 yeah. That
I
was,
was I was like, I can't believe certain individuals are doing what they're doing over here.
bruh.
And the wildest thing was when we got back, they just spread all this dinars and went and go get it converted,
Look, my uh,
slave.
the supply folks are my heroes. Let me just put it that way. Cats and supply are my heroes, man. Not gonna mention no names.
Sir, 10% off the top. That's what we call it, 10% off the top. Yeah.
They're my heroes,
And
man.
yeah, and I was telling people the first time when I went to Iraq, how it was so different. Because when we went to Saudi, people was breaking out cases of liquor
Mhm.
in their vehicles, but it had changed oh my, we had full customs.
Mm,
Full customs we had to go through. When we went to Saudi, we got on the plane and took off. You know what I'm saying? When we got back, we came out the plane on the runway, and see your family. Oh no.
right, right.
It is they come to your unit. You gotta bring all your stuff out and they go through it
Mm,
in country, and then when you get to the airport, whatever you're carrying, they searching that. I was like, wow, the stupidest and weirdest, craziest story. And I had to make the person admit that it was stupid. We then getting ready to go through customs. We're carrying our M16 M4s, right? You got a bolt block in it, and everything. We're carrying M4s. And they said, oh, you can't have this fingernail clipper with the file. You know how you got the
yeah, yeah,
toenail clipper with the file on it?
yeah, yeah.
"Oh, you can't take that." I said, "Excuse me? You can't take that." Said, "Oh, it could be used as a weapon." I said, "You gonna let me on the plane with an actual weapon, but you won't let me bring my toenail clipper with the file on it so I can clean under my fingernails because you think it could be used as a weapon. Does that make
Wow,
sense to you?" And
wow.
he was like, "No." Actual? What you think could be a fingernail file? Yeah, they had got a little overboard. Yeah, that was crazy.
Well, again, those cats from Supply. First of all, the combination of the 2, like, how they put them 2 together? Like, how but, but
Was Spike wasn't in what was Spike? He
no,
was a
man.
mechanic. No, no.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't. No, he
Yeah,
wasn't
he was a
Supply.
third shot mechanic. Okay.
No, I can tell
That
you,
brother.
Baez and Gaines, right? How they put them 2 together? Um,
My God.
you know, and
My God.
It's funny how
81 and 2. Woo.
the boldness of they had help.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
There were some others, but the boldness of some of these others, man, I'll never forget. It was like, um, one of them had me to roll with him. Uh, Come on, Rose. I need you to ride shotgun in a 5-ton,
Mm.
pulling a trailer full of tires. Let's just say we came back.
With no tires.
No, with no trailer, dog.
Oh,
The whole the whole trailer.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what they were doing. Yeah, yeah.
I I was like, I didn't see no transaction. I didn't, but
Mhm.
given the time of night it was, given what we was wearing,
Boldness.
it didn't feel like this was, it didn't feel like it was
Bold.
legit. And no, but here's the funny thing. So I'm in the truck. I see the person that they're meeting
Mhm.
driving a Peugeot, right? How about the next day, one of our boys got the keys to a Peugeot, parked right outside the gate. You know what I mean? Like, how
Yeah,
you
they let the wrong people come over there, boy. 5 to 8. Whoo!
like how you
I can't
get
even
that?
imagine what was going on at Cobalt Towers, but still, good gracious.
Man, Kobar. Yeah, I think I went over there one time.
Yeah. Cobalt Towers off the hedges. You
Yeah, I
hear me?
went over there one time.
Them girls was over there selling more
Stop it,
than
man. Stop
cookies.
it, man.
It was stuff. The people was making they'll take the ACUs and make it short sets.
Mhm.
They cut the pan, make it short, and embroider stuff and selling it. I'm like, y'all
Wow.
is serious?
Well,
ACU short set.
we went over there to visit, to hang out with, De Silva and crew
Mm-hmm.
one time, and, when we got there, like, I remember going up the stairs, like, "What is this?" And going into this apartment,
Correct.
like, "This how y'all living, man?" What?
Oh, I was heated. I was heated. They sent me up north to a truck stop in the desert. And
Yeah,
they got to go to Cobar and chilling.
yeah.
Clubs.
Yeah, they was in that apartment, and I remember so that was an experience to see how they were living, and
Hmm.
then I think it was called that thing up north, Point,
Yeah,
cannibalistic something something point,
yeah.
and, I went up there for some like, I never stayed. I went riding with somebody. I think that's the first time I experienced a "we're at war" to see some of those damaged vehicles that they were pulling the parts off of and, like,
Yeah,
you
because
know
nothing we're talking about right now would suggest we were at war.
But yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, man. It was like not until I went to the camp point and saw the damage, and you could tell, like I think it was a Hummer that had a tow dragon on the back. Yeah, man, that was my first experience of seeing that we were at war. Of course, air raid sirens didn't help. I mean,
They sent me also to the what is the place called? Oh my God, we slept there one night when we first got there. The Expo Center.
Expo, yeah.
Yeah, they said I was over there on guard duty with the MPs, and I had the night shift basically, and I just basically had to drive around and check on the guard points, make sure they had water, you're awake, and all that. So I thought they did that to us on purpose because it's basically they split. I thought they split the troublemakers up. Uh, they said uh, Bohannon went to UAE
Mhm.
to drive trucks. They sent the Silver to um, Cobalt Towers, and they sent me over. They sent they were sending people. I don't know. It's great.
Mm.
But I said, man, this is messed up. I was over there for like 30 days. If I'm over here, it was all right. But yeah, I thought they did it. They breaking up the troublemakers.
Yeah, I think I remember being at the expo for a good little while before we made
Yeah,
it to the compound.
they didn't know what to do with us.
Yeah, that
But that
was
that was the experience in itself.
yeah,
Had a little
man.
bit of everything.
Well, when, that night the, Scud hit,
Hmm.
given as close as we were to that spot,
We
I
used to
just
send people over there to take showers.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying, like, we were
yeah.
right there, and I'll never forget, me and the cats, we just sitting around outside and watched the thing come in,
Hmm.
like, looking up at it, just watching it come in. Just never forget somebody cussing me out because I was like, Everybody was trying to figure out what it was. Is that a plane? Is that a you know, we trying to figure it out. And I remember my goofy self saying something like, "That's a flare." And man, I got cussed out, man. That ain't no da 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 flare, blah, blah, blah. I mean, because the angle that it was coming in, it was coming straight at us. So you just saw the flickering behind it. So I thought, flare. Well, when it got real
And
close, it just well, I don't know wherever, where y'all's rooms were y'all outside watching it like we were? Or what was y'all
Yeah, yeah, I saw
okay.
it.
Okay,
And
so
because we always track when you saw the Patriot take off, then you was
mhm,
like, okay, let me look in front of the Patriot. And
mhm,
we always would try to see where it hit.
okay.
But this particular time, the Patriot hit the scud on the side instead of the nose. And
Well,
it broke the warhead off. And that's what hit that warehouse with those National Guards. It was the
see,
warhead.
from our angle
Hmm.
and everybody I ever told, I was like, "No Patriot went off that night."
Oh
Right?
no, that's what happened. The Patriot
So
hit it, but it hit it on the side, and it broke the warhead off, and then the warhead fell and hit the building.
well, and see, and again, from where we were, there was
Hmm.
no, the angle
Oh,
that we were
okay.
at, there was no
And you're right, because if you were on this side of your building, you wouldn't have saw the Patriot take off
we
on the
didn't see
opposite side, right?
there was no nothing. All we saw was the thing fall apart.
So yeah, y'all wouldn't have, where y'all were at, you wouldn't have saw the Patriot take off because y'all had buildings and trucks and all kind of stuff blocking that
Yeah, that
view.
doggone, that motor pool with all that
Yep.
stuff out
That
there, but
that maintenance tent, yeah, we had a big maintenance tent up.
yeah, we saw no like, all I saw was, the thing fall apart, and then I saw impact. Well, I and what's crazy because that other piece flew past us. It looked like it went, um, toward the water, and that one that came right down in front of us. So it was crazy because 'cause we're where our room was, can't call it barracks.
Mhm.
Well, our room was, I guess we would have been the closest to the impact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see, we were, like, right there closest to it, and so, I just remember I saw the flash, then I don't recall what happened after that.
Mm.
An instant later, I look up, and I'm on the ground, dusty, and everybody's running in different directions. Well, and then I couldn't breathe. It was like I had the wind knocked out of me, but everybody's running, and the feeling of you can't move with everybody running, you feel like you need to be running too, but you can't. So I remember, I saw the back of, T-Bone, the back of
Huh?
his boot going into our room, and I'm, like, thinking to myself, "These jokers left me," you know? But logically, you thinking, "Man, that room ain't stopping nothing." That
Yeah.
them little
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
cardboard
Yeah.
rooms we was in, but they ran. Everybody's scattered because there was a whole bunch of people who weren't in our platoon out there just hanging out. Everybody scattered, so I got myself up. I get inside the room, and what was funny was everybody's putting on their mop gear,
Right.
right? And I had dirt on my face, so I couldn't get a
Mm.
good seal on my mask, and I was moving so fast that I didn't think,
Right.
wipe the dirt off, but it was a panic situation. It was like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like, so that was just like one of the wildest nights, man.
Yeah. The night before, they sent people over to take showers because I don't know if you remember our hot water heaters. The compound we was on belonged to this Filipino.
Filipino, yeah.
Right. So and they're little people. So the hot water heaters were small for
Mm,
our side of the compound. So that warehouse had full size hot water heaters. That's why the commander would let people go over, and they had more showers. So we had the mash joints.
right, right.
They would let more people could go. So the night before, our people had went. They only let so many go, and I was slated to go that night.
Okay.
Well, I was yeah, I want to you know, get a good shower too. And they said, okay, that's like, when they count and count and count, they stop right in front of me. They say, oh,
Mm,
you got to go tomorrow. I said, okay. So the next night before that happened, the commander was like, nope, nobody's going.
mm.
And I was like, oh man, I was pissed. I was like, man, y'all, why you gonna cut it off on me? Well, after everything happened, I went back to him and asked, I say, sir, what made you not let us go that yesterday? And
Mhm.
he was like, I said, was it something? He said, I don't know. He said, honestly, he said there was no reason. He said, I didn't get no intel or nothing like that. He said, I just It's like, "Nah, we not going. We not letting them go tonight."
Mm,
And he didn't let him let us go, and that thing hit. I was like, "Ooh, that's divine intervention," because those people had literally just got there that
yeah.
day, and that was the sad thing. They had just got there in country, and to get there and for that to happen, that was a tragedy.
Well, what's crazy is some had just got there. Some were on the way out,
I
right?
didn't know that part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was some on the way out. They were 1 week out from leaving.
Ooh.
Yeah, because, there was a dude that was actually in the building that had collapsed, and he did an interview a few years back.
Mm.
Yeah, the brother's, he's hurting. I don't know if he lost 1 or both legs, and, he told a story about, how the, civilian doctors that worked on him, he didn't lose his leg or legs, I'm not sure, immediately.
Mm.
It happened over time because the civilian doctors weren't used to combat trauma.
Right.
And so they evidently sewed him up without properly doing whatever they needed to do inside first.
Mm.
And over time, things happened, and I don't know if he had developed something.
Mhm.
Anyway, he was
Probably
telling the
blood clots or
story.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but he was telling the story. I watched it. Man, this had to been and several years ago. I saw him on
Mhm.
TV,
Wow, I did
and
not know
when
anybody. I didn't know
yeah,
nobody survived. They was like everybody didn't make it.
yeah, no, no, no. It's so it hit one building, the barracks, the
Mm.
makeshift barracks, but from where he was,
Mm.
it still tore up. You know
Right.
where he
The
was.
shrapnel and the shrapnel and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and he when he described it on TV, man, Imma tell you, it was like as he was talking, I could see it, because he was inside the building, we were outside watching everything.
Mhm.
So he was talking about how the things he heard, and when he was talking, I was like, "Bro, I could see that." I could see it all. Man, that was crazy.
Vivid.
But I
I
don't
remember
know.
I remember seeing it. I was like watching it go down like a streamer and like boom. It's like woo.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
that and when not we, when I, um, filed, right?
Mhm.
My claim, and, it was 20 something years later. They didn't even question. They were like, a man, like, when that I was talking to, he pulled something up like a map, and it was like he knew exactly yep, he knew exactly where it
Yeah.
was, where we were. There was no question. Nobody even questioned it. They were like, "Okay," so
There was some times there, but I think that was the time when I did not. That was the only time that I did not go to church.
mm,
Because I was raised in the church.
okay,
I hadn't been baptized or anything. I was raised in the church and I knew not to play with God.
mm,
And I don't know if you remember, but they had this slender chaplain assistant from the 295th. That was a unit that was on the compound with us. He would be in there sweeping because I just remember walking by on Sundays and he'd be in there just sweeping
mm.
and he'd stop and look up. I waved to him. Nobody was in there, right? After them scuds was dropping, it was people standing outside. You couldn't see inside. There was so many people in that church, in the little chapel thing, and I was like, "That's what I'm not doing. I'm
Mm,
not gonna just run in here just because now, because we were there for a little hot minute before this first scud thing.
mhm,
But that Sunday after the first scud attack, and I'm telling you, they were standing outside looking in.
yeah,
It was like, man, there was so many people coming from other compounds to
mm,
that to our little chapel thing, and that was the only time I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna I'm not playing with God like that." I knew better. I had that much sense. Thank God I had that much sense. Every every place else, oh yeah, I was I was in there.
what's funny? I don't know, that's not funny. I'll just say, um I think I was 20, hadn't even hit 21 yet. I turned, I don't know what, I turned 20 over there,
Mhm.
and I n I didn't even know there was a church
Wow.
on the compound.
Wow.
That's just how
Yeah.
out there I was. I was a different dude.
And it was over there by the motor pool, so if you didn't have to come that way, you wouldn't have
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
wouldn't have known. But yeah, that's a story I tell often, and because people have asked, how is your faith and combat? You got a kid, got to shoot somebody and all that. And I was like, hey, I didn't play with God, and there are no atheists in foxholes. I promise you, that is a true statement. Because when the stuff start blowing up, everybody start calling Jesus. Jesus, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know, oh, now you believe. Okay.
Man,
Gotcha.
listen, I'm gonna make a confession here. If I knew it was there, I probably wouldn't have went. I'm just you know what I mean? I'm just being honest. Like,
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was when I tell you, man,
We were doing what we were doing.
I it is hard, you know, I can't even put into words when I try to explain to people. I was a different dude, man. I was so different, man. Like and I'm not proud of it at all. Like
Right.
like there is nothing to be proud about when it comes to yeah. Whew, but no, I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't have went,
Hmm.
and I probably would have talked junk about people that was going in there.
Yeah. And I definitely did because I saw what happened. So
Mhm.
y'all, I remember walking by, seeing this guy sweep an empty building.
Mm.
And then when it go boom, now y'all climbing through the windows, trying to be lowered down from the top.
Yeah.
And y'all try to get it by any means necessary.
Right,
And
right.
then
No.
when the threat was over, empty building again. I say, see, them
So,
same people.
do you remember the night that, we was out there and somebody said that a round went off
Mm,
and, like, they locked down the compound?
yeah.
And so we had a connex next to our building,
Hmm.
and our I guess, what we were supposed to do was we were supposed to go out and get in between the connex and our building and just
Right.
wait for further instruction. Well, we had a couple of NCOs who decided they were gonna take the ammo can and run out and get up under a truck out in the motor pool while we behind it.
Mm,
We over here by the Connex. And so we're waiting on the all clear. We got our weapons with no ammo. And I'm not gonna mention their names, but where's Sergeant so and so? Where's Sergeant so and so? Come to find out both them jokers is out there under a truck with the whole ammo can. Now here's the thing. They got the ammo. The ammo can had rounds for the 60 as well.
right.
They ain't got no 60. Like, what do y'all just got this big ammo can, you know, and, remember the ammo can had magazines that were already filled, and then you had the belt for the
Hmm.
60. This is not a light can.
Correct.
So y'all jokers had to run with this, or not even run, walk it over, get up under a truck, and which I was gonna hold out, thought we was getting overrun. Like, what?
You know, throw the bullets. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, "Yo," and as I said, I'm not gonna mention his name, but one of the things we discovered quickly I'm not even sure I should say this, but we're on the side of this building and, by this Connex, finally, I was like, "Man, I can't take it no more." I walk out because it smelled so bad because jokers would go around the side of the building and relieve themselves right there.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, "Y'all lazy jokers couldn't even make it to the bathroom." And so I just couldn't do it, man. I just couldn't do it. Now I'm all out in the open. "Bro, get back here." "No, it stinks. I'm not doing it." And that's kinda how we discovered that them cats was under the truck. Yeah, it was like, "Hold up." And I don't know how we got the word that it was all clear or whatever, but I think a round went off in one of the guard posts or something. Yeah.
Yep. He probably hit the 50 cal. I mean, hit the 60 or something.
I don't know what it was, but, I mean, these
Yeah, we
cats
we were not compared to my latter deployments. We
mhm.
were not ready for combat
No,
by 98
no,
at all,
nah, man.
at all. We weren't ready at all. My thing was too is if they get back here, it's already too late.
Done. Yeah.
Yeah, we might as well start speaking Arabic, farce to per, whatever. We might as well start hamdulillahs and all that. Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's too late. So that's
Don't get me wrong, I mean, it wouldn't have been a lack of courage. It's just we just wasn't,
yeah. We was man. I can't believe how we were some savages. Just I'm like man, because when we got back, and I don't know, I forgot that kid's name, dark skinned brother. He lived on post,
Mhm,
and some kids had vandalized his house. They broke in his house, his quarters.
mhm.
They didn't steal a thing the first time. They did it the second time, and they spray painted something on the walls. So we heard about that before we got back. So we made up in our mind that hey, we're gonna go buy some of them things, and we was like, okay. So back we were the backpack kids, and we used to
Man,
tell people, "If you ever see us and we all had backpacks, bro, we got it on us."
man,
It was serious. I remember that. I was like, "Man, it was serious."
you know what sticks out of my mind right now? Reggie Adams with the 7 Series Beamer and the bag phone. Oh, he balling. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, he is balling. What is he doing? And he got
And
them glasses with the gold little I was like,
oh, yeah, I was living up. I couldn't beat the allegations that they say. I couldn't beat the allegations, but, people don't know, boy, that car was a money pit.
I know it was. I
That
remember
car I don't think I had that car on the road 2 good months.
I remember the issues you were having with it. I remember, um, the fronting you had to do with the phone because if you used it, what was it, $17 a minute or something stupid like that?
Told the fellas, I say, "Listen, Imma let y'all can use it when y'all want to, cause everybody had pagers, and I say, "I'll let y'all use it, but when the bill come, we gonna go down the list, and y'all just take off blah, blah, blah." And that first bill I got after telling them that was like, 'cause they used to knock on the door and say, "Hey, man, let me get the phone." "Oh, here you go." "Hey, man, let me get the phone. Let me take the phone. Let me take it." 200 and some I was like, "Man, that's like $500 in today's money." I was like, "What? Who was y'all talking to?" Yeah, "Get my money. Y'all ain't using this." I turned it off. Uh-uh. It
Man,
was crazy.
yeah, I think you had the bag phone and it was somebody else had the phone in the car joint. I don't
Somebody who was that? They had the gray one that looked like the old World War II, the big with the and we call it the Miami Vice phone. They
Yeah, y'all was
had a brick.
balling, man.
Yeah, that brick phone.
Y'all was balling. I just was like, "That's that Saudi money, man." Because I guess you must have done a couple of them trailers or something. Because
No, no. And that car was so cheap. I think I paid $1,200 for that car. And, I had an opportunity. It needed an engine and a transmission, but instead of doing that, I put Band-Aids and
mm,
fixing little things here, and, uh, I had the music I bought in Saudi, believe it or not. They had an Alpine store
oh, man.
over there, so I bought an Alpine pullout, I bought a preamp, a passive EQ. No, I bought a passive EQ and an Alpine pullout, and when we got back, I went and bought some JL Audio 12s, 6 by 9s, 200-watt no, yeah, 2 200-watt amps and 1 100-watt amp, and boy, I was beating the block down.
Boy,
Whoo!
do you
You couldn't
know,
tell me nothing.
I remember you in the parking lot.
And
I'm in my room.
it
I
didn't
already
even
know who it
it
was.
didn't dawn on me that you could hear it in the barracks like that.
I'm in my room, and I hear it. I knew who it was, and the crazy thing is, it's like, man, that car loud and sitting still because it can't go nowhere. Can't go nowhere. I always had the hood up.
I drove it home once and, fronting with the bag phone because it was turned off by then, and it had my pager, it was turned off. The phone would turn on, and I was remarkably enough, miraculously enough, I used it one time, and
Mm,
after that, I could never use it again. I don't know how it happened, I was in Gainesville, but anyway, I drove it home once, fronted, phone, everything that car was supposed to do for a young, entrepreneur negro, it did. Everything. Man, the girls was on me. I was
listen,
like I was
listen,
beating them
man.
off with a stick.
You
"That's your
had a
car?" "Yeah, yeah, that's me, that's me. Yeah,
you had
yeah,
a
yeah."
7 Series Beamer with some nice rims on the joint. What was that, like Yankees or something, man? Like, man, I think you had the honeycomb joint with the chrome lip, man. I
Yeah.
was like, "Yo, this dude."
I never thought about what that looked like. I said, "You know what? I couldn't do crimes and stuff like that because 'cause I'd be the one." They said, "We just got robbed and we did not catch the criminal at the bank robbery for 10,000,000." I'll be the one pulling up in the bright red Ferrari
Boy,
with the music.
boy, no, Imma tell you though, that car, man, that car was, like, legendary. It was like your car.
And that drug dealer dude's car, he was the only other person with the 7 Series.
Well, I was thinking in terms of 598,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yours,
yeah.
and so there was yours, it was Litton had that
Right. He's
pink
that,
pink impulse or
yeah, it was
something,
like a
whatever
mauve
it was.
colored. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he got the the Brom joint later with
Yeah.
he had some beats in there, but then Wise had that 190.
Yeah.
I was like, "Y'all jokers, man. Here I am pushing a Ford Escort. I'm pushing an Escort. Look, at least I had the GT."
You and Boo. You
Yeah,
and Boo.
Boo had
Cadell.
the
Cardell.
yeah, he had the emerald joint.
Yeah.
Mine was white, but that joker,
That's
man.
right. You did have a white one. I remember that.
Yeah, I had the white one, and he had the emerald, but that's where it stops. We we was just, you know, I'm just a cat with a regular car note driving a Ford GT though. You know, so man, that car was legendary, man. It was like, like, okay,
I can't even imagine what the leadership was thinking when we got back.
boy, bring the dogs. Go through his room. You know what I mean?
And then with me not drinking or smoking, I had to be vouched for when I first got there.
Mm,
They was like, "Hey man, you don't drink?" "Nah, man, I'm good. I don't drink." "You don't smoke?" "Nah, man, I don't smoke." They be like, "Hey, y'all need to watch what y'all saying around this cat."
right.
'Cause they was putting CID in wall lockers, throwing them out the third floor window back then too. People don't realize
Mm.
that. I was trying to say it was serious. They thought you was CID. So yeah, I always had to be vouched for. "No, he good."
Yeah, no,
But
I
then we
think,
were
it
we
was
was we were we were goons.
yeah.
And these kids today, I was like, man, I told my son one time, I said, "Boy, I'm more gangster than you will ever be. And I don't even do it no more."
Well,
Goon.
and that's the thing, man. It's like, I try not to, dwell because for one, I can't explain, and
It was
and
different
it
times.
it takes for
It takes
somebody to have known us and witnessed certain things for anybody to even believe half this stuff, And it wasn't like I was wilding.
Right, right.
I wasn't, but just by, proximity to
Yeah.
the environment, you just
Yeah, I was
end up
guilty by association a lot.
in the situation, like you just in it. Just, you know, like, where we going? To do what? Oh man, I gotta drive. Like so it was like that, man. And cats would just do some wild stuff. And but different times, man, different times.
Yeah.
And I just think
We we
about,
were definitely we've definitely come a long way.
whew, yeah, yeah.
My goodness.
And I am not so far, I think I've been able to not divulge. Nah, man, it's crazy because like I could be around somebody who might have, might be talking to somebody or, like during our time. Like I
Mhm.
can chit chat with you.
Right.
But there's some other cats that be like, "Rose, when you," I'm like, "Nope, stop." Nah, bro, for real. And as they try to remember stuff, I'm trying to change the subject. You know, nah, man.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
but
People wouldn't believe. I mean, we literally could write books just about that without saying no names. People would not believe because I was part of the E4 Mafia strong. I know I could tell it myself. I remember we got there and the XO had forgot a whole generator. They left it in Fort Benning. And the commander was already under scrutiny, Hawkins,
mhm,
because he was fat and the higher ups was on him. I don't know if you noticed or not, but he didn't redeploy with us. The colonel was like, I am not sending a fat captain back. So he had went on
mm,
this weight loss June. He was out there running with the black vest and all
mm.
kind of stuff. So he was like, "Hey, we need a generator." And the E4 Mafia looked at each other. What size? Okay, because I was a generator mechanic. So they took me and somebody else. We went to the port
Mm.
and we was driving. He was driving. I was looking. They go one right there.
Hook it up.
Backed up. We backed up to it. I hooked that fat boy up.
Mhm.
And the next day, the captain came out there and he was like, I thought hey, sir, don't ask no questions.
Handle your
We had
business.
already we had already re-stenciled the bumper number and everything.
I get it. I get it. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, I know of a similar tale when it came to a 5-ton forklift that I won't get into, which I had the pleasure of learning how to drive in that big open field by the warehouse. I get it.
We did what we had to do.
Yeah, and what's crazy is, uh, when it came time to leave, that
Mm.
stuff stayed right there. I don't know whose
Yeah.
it is. I don't know.
On the side of the road. Hey, drive this out there. Because that's what shocked me too. Units was doing that.
Mhm.
Hence what sparked the excess equipment sales, if we're
Mhm.
gonna call that,
Right, right.
leftover equipment sales.
Right on.
Because I was like, "How y'all?" He said, "Oh, we just found them on the side of the road."
Yeah.
What?
No, but,
Yep.
like, I was telling you the Peugeots and I mean, I guess everybody was donating to the cause.
Mm,
And so these, just fields and fields worth of just stuff was coming to the
mhm.
war effort. And, there was no I guess it overwhelmed, the
Oh,
system,
yeah. The supply system, yeah. They put it over there.
and
Put
you
the
just
keys under the mat.
"Yeah, let me get them keys real quick," and you would snatch it up, and if you as long as you was in uniform, Saudi police wasn't bothering you, whatever. 'Cause, told you, man, when them keys was getting passed around for that one,
Mhm.
my boy, Bryce, he grabbed hold of the keys one day. "Rose, what you doing?" "Oh, no. What you wanna do?" "Come on, let's ride." "Alright, turn the AC on." Like, let's roll. And it's crazy to be in uniform. Just, once you got outside the compound, you got your uniform on, flip your hat backwards and you just, what I mean? Like, just wrong. Just anyway, man. Look, I know man, we've been going almost an hour and a half. I know I talked you to death, but
It's all good.
I think we need to do it again because my intention was to get into some current events, but we end up
Yeah, yeah, anytime, man.
yeah,
Anytime,
so let's
anytime.
let's look up again, man, like real soon.
Okay.
Maybe, within the next, at least next 2 weeks,
Okay.
we'll get back
Yeah, no
together.
problem.
And I appreciate the conversation, man.
Yeah, anytime, anytime, bro. Anytime.
Yeah, because I need to get your thoughts on, the current state
Mhm.
of what's happening right now. Having been a first sergeant, I know there's some things going on amongst the ranks
Oh, yeah.
right
I'm
now.
shocked. I'm shocked that there aren't any, and we can talk about this next time too, but I'm shocked that there aren't any, like, people, like, just dipping.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, "No, I ain't doing it. I'm going to Canada," something. They're just
Mhm.
not reporting it.
Mm,
But I know there's some folks out there thinking like, "Man, I'm not finna go over there.
right.
For what?" Yeah.
On top of that, it's not like, if back in the day, if anyone had those types of thoughts, you couldn't say it out loud because you would be called unpatriotic and all this other stuff. But right now, people's like, I understand. I get it because I think
'Cause
one
it's hard to explain. I got a cousin that is, uh, a Republican, and I used to play with him, mess with him all the time. I was like, "Yeah, it's getting hard to defend now, huh?" Yeah,
mm,
hard
mm,
to defend.
yeah,
'Cause now everybody paying high gas prices, and
yeah,
that particular party is understanding now that y'all are part of us too. It ain't just it's us against them. If you ain't a billionaire, yeah, you out here struggling too. It's $4
yeah.
gas down here, $4 and change. Like, Lord have mercy. I got a Ram 1500.
Well, and it puts the country in a weird situation because especially if you have friends, family who might be getting deployed or what have you,
Mhm.
you got to get behind them and make them feel we support you. At the same time, it's like I support you, but I don't know why you're going, and neither do you. I mean, it's crazy because as a young man who's being deployed from our church, and you'll be boots on the ground any day in Kuwait.
Mhm.
And, we're praying hard for the brother, man. We want him to be safe. We want God to protect him.
Mhm.
And dealing with the fact that nobody knows why. I can't even explain it.
Yeah, they can't articulate it at all.
Mhm.
'Cause if you say what we speculate is for, that's what the conversations will turn into, that denial. So, okay, then what is it then?
Mhm.
And they always say crazy stuff like, "Well, the president, he's gonna reveal it when" I was like, "Here we go." He don't know either. That what you're
No.
saying? He don't know? Yeah.
Yeah,
We know.
no, man. Well, um, we we need to get into that the next time.
Okay.
And as I said, within the next couple weeks, man, let's get back
Yeah,
together.
man, just let me know and, set it up.
All right. Well, again, brother, thank you so much
No problem.
for sitting down with me, and definitely appreciate your time. And again, we'll do it again real soon. All right, brother. Yeah.